Tonight, smaller communities urged to brace for cases of COVID-19 as other states spiral out of control, and how Broken Hill is dealing with the pandemic.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Regional health authorities are desperately pleading for residents to not become complacent, with Victorian coronavirus case numbers skyrocketing at 317 new cases just today. A new campaign, Don't Drop the Ball, has been launched in a bid to stop regional outbreaks.
While metropolitan areas in other states are facing a crippling rise in coronavirus cases, the regions are fairly unscathed. But authorities are warning that could change very quickly.
It's really important that South Australian residents are on their guard the whole time, that they're really careful of their social distancing.
The Rural Doctors Association pleading for our communities to not drop the ball, launching a new campaign. It will be shown on social media and reiterates the critical importance of sanitising and social distancing, urging people to use video interactions as much as possible, particularly for vulnerable Australians.
Careful of their social distancing, that they're careful with their hand washing and their cough etiquette.
Medical professionals say now South Australia's borders are opening to some states, there is room for problems.
Inadvertently doesn't have symptoms, but potentially has the virus and could be spreading it.
Clare Valley pharmacists say an outbreak in a small town could prove devastating.
Just stick it out for a little bit longer, keep it under control, as well as buy us some more time for a possible vaccine.
Urging anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms to get tested.
Signs and symptoms that may be COVID related, it's important that they get checked out.
Regional medical centres are still using Skype and over-the-phone consults to reduce patient numbers. Some pharmacies are also offering delivery services for vulnerable residents.
Actually offering free delivery to anyone who wants to isolate and who are self-isolating. And elderly residents who want to stay at home.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Coronavirus testing numbers have increased in the Far West region in the past week as concerns of a second wave in Victoria hit border towns. The local health district is doubling down on testing capabilities to make sure any new cases are contained.
With increasing cases interstate, the Far West Health District is calling on community members to be mindful of how quickly COVID-19 can spread.
There is a heightened anxiety in border towns. As you know, the situation in Victoria is continuing to be concerning.
In the past 7 days, the district has increased testing capabilities in towns near the Victorian border. Temporary and pop-up clinics in places like Wentworth and Dareton are now more permanent operations. Locals are taking no chances.
For example, Barunga, up until last week, we had 36 tests conducted in total, whereas this week it's gone up to 124.
Across the Far West, more than 2,500 people have been tested for COVID-19, with over 70,000 screened. During his visit to Broken Hill this week, Member for Parks and Federal Regional Health Minister Mark Colton urged the community to get tested if showing any symptoms.
In regional Australia, we've done very, very well, but we're not immune, and we must make sure that we remain vigilant and keep that testing, social distancing and sanitisation up.
Patrick Ryanke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Regional airlines are showing the first signs of returning to normal, with increased flights taking off between Adelaide, Port Lincoln and Whyalla. Regional Express has brought back its flight discounts to help more visitors travel to the regions.
Around 30 flights are currently operating here at Port Lincoln Airport, a far cry from last month where flight numbers plummeted to 1 a week due to the virus. Planes are now getting back in the air, but not without some precaution. For Regional Express, passengers have to wear mandatory face masks and have temperature checks.
Both airlines have been quite, active in their social hygiene measures and doing what can be done.
In the past month, Rex has more than doubled its flights to the region, with 14 now operating during weekdays. If you're wanting to catch a flight on the weekend, Qantas is your only option, with a morning flight on Sunday. In an attempt to draw more visitors to the region, Rex has brought back its discount offer. In partnership with the Lower Eyre Peninsula Council, passengers travelling between Adelaide and Port Lincoln are able to purchase $109 flights. That's a $79 saving to the average cost.
I guess what we need to look at is what our opportunity is here, and our opportunity, of course, is to capitalise on travel to the regions within our state, interstate travel.
The council has waived the passenger levy fee for airlines to help ease the financial burden. Qantas have also indicated they may increase flights by September.
It's a gradual increase at the moment that we're seeing.
A stone's throw away up in Whyalla, and it's a different story. Only 10 flights are being offered between Qantas and Rex with no discount available. There's still a fair way to go to recover for the aviation sector, but it's a promising first sign that things are slowly returning back to normal.
Still to come tonight, Broken Hill's federal MP announces funding for the city's local Vinnie's branch, and a Port Lincoln creative gains international fame for his map-making talents. Hello again. As we reported earlier in the bulletin, Broken Hill's federal member Mark Colton has visited the Silver City, his first visit back since the COVID-19 pandemic hit. He brought his chequebook with him, announcing some major funding for a local charity.
Since Mark Colton's last trip to Broken Hill, a lot has changed, including the start of a pandemic. Visiting the area this week, the first stop, the RFDS COVID-19 Respiratory Clinic, an avenue for locals to get checked for coronavirus.
Should we, by some circumstances, end up with some cases here, then this is set up.
In a welcomed move for local charity, a $330,000 boost announced for Broken Hill's local Vinnie's branch.
This grant will enable Vinnie's to upgrade their facility and continue doing the great work that they're doing.
It will be changing the assistance room from our retail centre and putting it into a separate building. That will mean the privacy of the clients will be respected.
The centre's meal facility, which has been operating for almost 50 years, will also be improved.
We've been trying for many, many years to be able to gain funding from ourselves, and when this grant was announced back in December, we thought, well, we'll jump at it.
The project is shovel-ready with work to begin soon. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A Port Lincoln cartographer is making headlines around the globe with his newfound talent of map making. The handcrafted designs already proving popular, with dozens being sold.
From their workshop in Port Lincoln to across the world, these unique designs are spiking people's interest.
This is a world first as far as we know, so we're pretty proud of the end result.
Keith Daniels and his son started up their business adventure, Rhapsody in Wood, almost 12 months ago. A labour of love to create a piece of artwork that doubles as a map.
We think the business could be worldwide, for sure.
The light bulb idea came to Keith while on a voyage around the world. With his successful past in carpentry and having run several home building companies, he thought he'd try his hand at something a little bit different.
I'd seen like small sort of natively made type versions, and I thought if I could do that on a bigger scale, or we could do it on a bigger scale, that they'd be pretty stunning.
The world-first design has taken months to sand down and perfect, and now showcases in the shop's gallery and online, with designs of Australia, the globe, as well as individual states like Tassie.
There's months and months of detailing in each map.
From the Trail of Tears in the United States to Port Arthur near Hobart, every square inch is carefully laid out.
All the separate bits of timber get cut out, and then they go through a few different stages of like lamination.
The pieces are then put through a vacuum press and coated with German wax to get the glistening shine. With no two maps ever the same, it can take weeks to produce one piece. The artwork already hanging in homes in the UK and New Zealand.
We're trying to make it more interesting as we go along.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
New signs protecting Whyala's dolphins have been installed in multiple locations across Whyala's marina and foreshore. They aim to stop locals and tourists feeding the dolphins in a bid to prevent possible injuries to the loved mammals by incoming boats and vessels.
Although observing dolphins in their natural environment is a popular activity in Whyalla, there's concerns they could be loved to death. These signs newly installed to help protect the beloved creatures.
Locals and visitors to our city love our friendly and inquisitive dolphins. But not everybody understands that feeding them causes them more harm than good.
The high traffic of boats into the marina can become a danger zone, with the risk of being injured from one of the vessels. The signs include information that interfering with the natural behaviour of dolphins by feeding them can result in serious long-term impacts.
Makes them become accustomed to fishes and boats and can increase the likelihood of collision or entanglement with fishing line.
The Eyre Peninsula Landscape Board soon to release more funding opportunities for projects such as this. The team encouraging community organisations to apply for a grassroots grant given to projects positively impacting the region's natural environment.
I think the signs are excellent, and the Tourist Focus Group, along with others, have always promoted putting a lot of signs in our city.
Feeding and touching dolphins is prohibited under the Natural Parks and Wildlife Act. Penalties can be handed out to those who go against the regulations. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come in our bulletin tonight, Whyalla children get creative with art for Cuddlefest, and the City Park development in Port Pirie almost ready to welcome visitors. Hello again. Children at Whyalla's Childcare Centre have been getting creative over the past few weeks, putting together 2 giant cuttlefish art pieces. The work's now ready to be entered in this year's ArtPrize exhibition, running as part of Cuddlefest.
Dancing along with Spencer, this year's cuttlefish mascot. Children at Whyalla's Childcare Centre learning all about the species.
The past couple of weeks, the children have been really busy celebrating the cuttlefish season. So we've been getting involved with the Cuddlefest 2020 program.
Creating 2 giant cuttlefish art pieces out of recyclable materials. The centre ready to enter them in this year's ArtPrize exhibition. The program encouraging locals to create a cuttlefish or local marine-based artwork for the competition.
The Cuddlefest ArtPrize was an initiative that we rolled out last year, and last year was the first year I think that Cuddlefest really took off.
A photograph of the artwork must be submitted online by July 27th to be in the running. All entries will be published on the Whyalla Facebook tourism page for locals to see. These children diving into new artwork techniques, making their entry that touch more special.
Brush painting, sponge painting, and also some contact collage as well.
The children also making art rocks as part of this educational learning activity. The surprise visit from Spencer just adding to the fun.
We're going to try and colour and hide from people. I love Spencer.
Spencer's arrival coming at the perfect time for this little girl, celebrating a special 4th birthday.
This is the best birthday surprise.
More information on the ArtPrize competition can be found on Council's website. Public voting will begin in August. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Pirie's new City Park development is in its final stages of construction and will soon be open for public access. Council members say they're thrilled with the site.
This City Park location has transformed over the weeks and is now set to be a welcome community space.
It was looking a little bit tired and really wasn't in keeping with what we tried to do for the rest of the CBDs.
Local contractors used for the project with a $190,000 budget.
A bit over $86,000 of that was from the state government's Places for People funding. And at the moment, I'm glad to say we're tracking under budget. So we're looking at a couple of nice little add-ons if we can.
New benches, garden and phone charging station are among the new facilities at this park. Council members say it will benefit both locals and tourists.
Better seating and shade, and we've got little charging points in there for phones and iPads so people can come and charge those things. We've plumbed in power to the Christmas tree we have on the corner.
Good for the community, and we're really looking at community involvement now where we can look at ideas and different things from there.
Construction fences will be up for the next week, but it will soon be open for everyone to enjoy.
We'll have a fence around the lawn, but we're going to shift that probably within a week just to lock the lawn out, and then people can come in and use the seating, use the shade.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police are investigating the theft of a pizza oven from a Wailanori community group earlier this week. The oven was kept in the garden area and was taken sometime between Monday lunchtime and Tuesday morning. Authorities seized a pair of secateurs left at the scene, believed to have been used in the offence. Police ask anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Coming up after the break, we'll hear from those in the know about where the fish are biting, and we'll have the weather with Britt. Hello again. If you're planning to head out fishing this weekend, let's hear from the experts about where they're biting.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta at Jewel of the North. Well, some really nice weather at the moment, nice and calm. A lot of garfish around. People are getting them when they're going out and dabbing. Try along the edge of the mangroves and also out in the number 9 channel bank there as well. Still a few blueies around. Crabs try a little bit deeper water and wait for them and they'll come on the bite there. You can get a feed, but not a real lot of them. King George whiting down near Yatla Harbour and down at the entrance to Chinaman's Creek. Lots of salmon down around Chinaman's Creek and also Port Patterson, and there have been some kingfish around the old powerhouse side as well. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally. There haven't been a lot of reports from the bay over the last week. The whiting have been a little bit slow. Same with the passage. The whiting have been a little bit patchy down towards Taylor's and McLaren's, but there have been some nice sized squid down that way. And there also have been some nice blue morwong caught down the bottom end of the passage. Moving over to Coffin Bay, it's a similar story out towards Farm Beach. The whiting have been a little bit patchy over the past week, but there have been some nice gummy sharks caught in that area. There have been a few whiting and also a few flathead caught land-based towards Frenchman's. Out wide of Sir Isaac's, there's been some nice school sharks caught, and along with a few red snapper. Up the west coast beaches, there's been some good reports of salmon from Talia and also from Loxwell. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Now for a look at the weather, here's Britt Aylin.
Thanks, Louise. After another cold morning, we've had yet another sunny day today, and it will be sunny again tomorrow, but more on that in just a moment. 20 degrees was the region's high today, recorded at Port Augusta. It reached 17 at Whyalla, Broken Hill, Port Pirie, Woodner, Kadina, Cleve and Coffin Bay, with Port Lincoln and Clare both reaching tops of 16 degrees. Now let's take a look at today's satellite images now, with clear skies over South Australia thanks to a high pressure ridge, leading to cool days and chilly nights. A bit of patchy cloud crossed the south of the state today near a trough, but it didn't bring any rain. Moving on to tomorrow, variable winds about the Gulf waters reaching 5 to 10 knots. Seas under a metre with south to southwesterly swells. As I mentioned before, we do have another sunny day coming our way. Port Lincoln with an expected high of 19 degrees. Cleve looking to reach 20, Woodner 21. Whyalla with a top of 20 degrees tomorrow. Morning fog and frost at Port Augusta with an overnight low of 2 degrees. Warming up to a sunny 21. Kadina 18. A top of 19 at Port Pirie tomorrow. Clare and Broken Hill both 17. Now let's skip ahead to the weekend. Showers about the lower Eyre Peninsula on Saturday, but it's looking to be fine and partly cloudy elsewhere. Port Lincoln, Broken Hill and Kadina with tops of 17 degrees. Port Pirie 18. Woodner 19, Port Augusta with a high of 21. Sunday, more showers, this time about the west coast, lower Eyre Peninsula, mid-north and York Peninsula forecast districts. Fine and partly cloudy through the remainder of the region. A high of 15 at Port Lincoln. Woodner, Port Pirie and Kadina all 16. Whyalla looking to reach 17 degrees. Port Augusta and Broken Hill both 19 on Sunday. And finally, we'll take a quick look ahead at Monday, with more showers about the lower Eyre and York Peninsulas as well as the mid-north. Fine and partly cloudy elsewhere, with 15 degrees the high for Port Lincoln and Port Pirie. Woodner, Broken Hill and Kadina all 16. Port Augusta and Whyalla both 17. And that's it for today's weather report, Louise. We've got one more day of sunshine before showers roll in across the weekend.
Thank you for that, Britt. And that wraps up your local news for this Thursday evening. Thank you for joining us today. We'll have updates later. Until then, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.